Good afternoon, everybody. It's Darth Paradigm. Time for another review. But before I start the review, just a warning, I could be distracted. Apparently, there was multiple bear sightings, daytime bear sightings, in my neck of the woods, literally. So if I trail off and it's not my usual, capacity for trailing off, uh, or if you hear panic in my voice, it's because the critters are looking in my window and looking at me hungrily. Anyway, so what is this review about? Well, it's about my Redeemer, my Saberforge Champion tier Redeemer. And I just received my Redeemer yesterday from Saberforge. This is not a new saber. This is quite a used saber. I bought this on the secondary market and I owned it for about maybe a month, I think, and then it died. And what happened was, yes, and I do mean died, for those that have a tendency of correcting me. Essentially, what happened was the recharge port, which is located, stay, underneath the card here. The card is held in by a magnet. You can see I have got a slight modification. I added a couple layers of tape here because this little tiny switch here only sticks out about a half millimeter, so it's kind of hard to engage it, so the tape facilitates that. But anyway, so here's the recharge port, and apparently this had died, so Saberforge replaced that, and also the LED had or was on its way to crapping out. And my Redeemer has, it's either Arctic blue or light blue or some variation thereof. I'm not exactly certain which blue it is. I just always call it Arctic blue because it sort of matches my ideal color that I like for my sabers. Anyway, so let's put the card back on. Here's an interesting little fun fact. If you have an older Redeemer and you want to replace this card for whatever reason, don't bother ordering one from Saberforge because the one that they sell you now is meant for the newer version of the Redeemer, the Chrome one or the Crystal Reveal version, and it doesn't fit into the control box on the older version, as I found out. So I have an extra clamp card that I can't do anything with. So that's why I kind of modded this one and made sure that it worked, and I'm perfectly happy with it. So anyway, my Redeemer completely repaired and back into my collection. And what's there to say? It's one of the best thin neck sabers. Well, I mean, it's not one of the best, but it's one of the best thin neck sabers that Saberforge offers. And it's a good representation of Obi-Wan Kenobi's saber from episode 4. And it's one of the prizes in my collection. These are not easy to come by. I mean, they're expensive when you get them new from the store. Now, I'm not a big fan of the whole chromed out Saberforge version of many of their hilts. I'm just not a big fan of chrome. I like the old-fashioned aluminum or weathered finish. So this particular version of the Redeemer suits me fine. The blade depth is not much to speak of. It only goes to about here. And when they replaced the LED, something happened. There's a little section that kind of pokes out to about here, and that inserts into the blade, and then the blade inserts into kind of a slot. Well, that had shifted, so it was very hard to get the blade in here. I had to get in there and kind of pry it a little bit. Now, this aluminum is very soft, so I don't recommend doing that. I kind of did a little bit of damage, but it's nothing too terribly noticeable now that the blade's in there. But yeah, the aluminum is not meant for the aluminum on most sabers dents really easily, so just to warn you. So I had to kind of work it in there, but once I got started, it just kind of popped, and then it just slid right in, and I was able to lock it into place with the LED retention screw, and it's working fine. The reason why they have that extension is to give it a little bit more reinforced, just a little bit more stability in the blade so it doesn't shimmy about. And I think that because, traditionally the way the LED shoots the light through such a small aperture, I think this extension kind of gives it sort of gives the photons or whatever a little bit of acceleration to get up the length of the blade. That's my theory anyway. It could be just a garbage theory, but seems to make sense from a purely physics standpoint. So, the neck sabers, what a delight! This is there's so much going on as far as detail in the emitter of the Redeemer. You've got this section which is sort of coppered out and it's anodized, whereas this is all kind of it's I think it's straight up made out of brass. I'm not sure what the material is. It could be anodized, but the quality of the way this looks, it's just far too consistent to be anything but real brass. But I'm sure someone can elucidate on my lack of knowledge. So the fitting, everything is securely fitted together. This is one solid piece. It's a heavy saber. Very heavy. But if you can learn how to avoid the control box, which does have sharp edges, this is, as far as control boxes go, this is one of the least comfortable control boxes. But if you can avoid that and just focus on the grenade section here, and handle the saber from here to here, you should be in good stead. I've been able to spin this thing. The only thing that kind of limits my ability to spin it is sort of a lack of strength, because, like I said, it is a very heavy saber. But the grenade section is just really, really well sculpted, and the grenade section is very comfortable. All the edges are sufficiently rounded, and it's kind of a really interesting experience holding one of these sabers with such a pronounced grenade section. They are called grenade sections for those not in the know, because the original prop that was modeled out of spare parts when they were shooting, episode 4, A New Hope, the very first Star Wars movie way back in '77. The saber was cobbled together from spare parts, which is kind of interesting. And one of the things that they used as one of the parts was an actual British style grenade. I don't know too much details about it, but this sort of kind of gives you that. These, in a grenade, all these pieces kind of shoot out as shrapnel and cause maximum damage. So they like the look of it and the effect, and the rest is history. So we're moving on to the switch section. The switch section has these really interesting little greebles. They don't really do anything, but they look marvelous. And the control box is firmly attached to the grip section. You cannot remove it, and if you did remove it, the saber would stop working because all the control mechanisms are in here. I forget what the original source material was for. I think this was a sync knob or something to the effect. I know the emitter itself came from. I think it came from kind of an injector or something from an airplane engine. Yeah, so this was actually, I don't know, some kind of possibly a fuel injector or something to that effect. I'm not too sure, and I'm pretty sure that this was like a sync knob or something. I can't remember what this part was, but on the Redeemer, they've replicated it quite well. Again, you got a cover tick wheel to clip it to your belt. Of course, I can't really remove I guess I could remove the blade from this saber, but I don't intend on ever doing that. I don't really cosplay, and I don't really, no one goes anywhere and does anything now, but I eventually, when we do get to do such things, I probably wouldn't strap this saber to me. It's too near and dear to me, and I wouldn't want really anything to happen to it. So there's the end of the pommel with your pommel insert. It has a really nice, powerful bassy speaker. I don't know what the actual wattage of the speaker is. It's probably somewhere between 2 and 4 watts, but I'm sure someone can fill in the gaps of my knowledge. So that pretty much sums up the saber in a nutshell. It's just essentially a very accurate, heavy, solid piece of saber. Again, it has the Champion soundboard fitted with I think the light side font package, and I'll show you those in just a second. As far as a lot of the features can be adjusted by attaching the Saber via the recharge port in a micro USB cable to your computer if you have a Windows 10 computer, and you can download software from the Saberforge website to allow you to go in and edit the Saber. That's the only way that I found that you can actually adjust the volume. Right now, it's the Saber's set at the whatever the settings were when I received it from Saberforge. I haven't had access to a computer yet to make any kind of adjustments. So the Saber really isn't that loud. It definitely needs to be adjusted. And the interesting thing is there's a kind of that little rumble motor in here. And the rumble motor is kind of louder than the speaker is right now. So when I turn the Saber on, you're going to hear kind of like a whiny sort of like, well, that's the rumble motor that's in here. It kind of gives the Saber a bit of a tactile feel to it. Not a feature that I would find terribly important, but it's actually in a selectable feature when you're ordering your Saber. Anyway, so to turn it on, you push this. Ranger's blade. You get your boot up. You have to kind of just tap it, and that locks in the font that you selected. You hear that? That's the rumble motor. So as far as features available on the Champion tier, you do have a bit of a shimmer, and you also have a fairly decent and proper flash on clash. You also have blaster block sounds and effects, and if you hold it and then tap it, which I'm horrible at, you get lockup, and then the rumble motor freaks out. Tap it again to turn that off, and then you hold it to turn the Saber off. Now, it's a little bit difficult when you're holding this end and you're trying to do the functions here. Most Sabers kind of have the switches down towards that end, but not so with the Redeemer. And one of the reasons why I was itching to get this review done is because I want to do a comparison between this and my Electrum Sabercraft Aurora, because the ergonomics of that Saber are pretty much identical to this, with the control box down towards this end, which makes for interesting handling. And the Aurora has every single one of these cues in the design. So you have a futuristic weapon here, and then Electrum Sabercrafts reinterpreted it and made a even more futuristic version of the Obi-Wan Saber. So I'm looking forward to doing a comparison for that. Now, to switch it between fonts, you just hold it down, and it'll kind of boot up the next font that you can select, and then you hold it, and that engages. Again, I'm sorry, it's not very loud. So that's heirloom. And
Ranger's blade.
So we have Ranger's Blade, Heirloom, and Prodigal Son. Those are the three fonts that come equipped on this saber with the light side package. And of course, if you have the ability to connect your saber to a computer, it allows the ability to change the fonts out and edit them to your desire. You can edit flicker rate, deep sleep mode, pretty much anything that you would want to. I haven't actually done it, so I don't know the full package of what you can do. Yeah, that pretty much sums up everything that you need to know about the Redeemer. Other than just sort of, I'll give you one last look. This wants to roll around all over the place, so it's a little bit tricky to film. All right. And as far as handling goes,
Heirloom. Prodigal Son. Ranger's blade.
as I said, you want to handle it pretty much up here. I like to have, as much as possible, the control box on the inside of my hand. It really takes some getting used to the weight and navigating the sharp edges and the inherent uncomfortable aspects of the thin neck. So I really wouldn't use a saber like this for dueling, me personally. I would just sort of limit this to being a bit of a shelf queen. Naturally, you don't want the electronics to crap out like they did on me, and I don't intend to having any further issues along those lines if I can avoid it. So yeah, there you go. That is the Saberforge Redeemer. Nice, heavy, solid, accurate representation of Obi-Wan's saber from A New Hope. All right, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this bit of a review here. I'm sure this saber is probably nothing that you haven't seen before. And I'm absolutely thrilled to finally have it up and running and back in my collection. For a while, I wasn't certain that I was ever going to get it repaired. I was procrastinating a bit. And well, mission accomplished. So yeah, if you have any questions regarding the Saberforge Champion tier Redeemer, you probably want to maybe ask Sidious the real in-depth questions. He's the one that seems to know the most about these Saberforge thin neck sabers, and my knowledge is pretty basic. Yeah, so news. I just received a word from Ultra Sabers today that both my Guardian and my Butcher have shipped. So that's pretty awesome. And I was actually able to speak to someone at Ultra Sabers about upgrading my Guardian from light sound to premium sound, V4 premium sound, and it was relatively easy, surprisingly so. And then it shipped the next day. So Ultra Sabers is, I don't know, they seem to be delivering the goods for me lately, and I really do appreciate that. And I hope everyone else is sort of getting some positive results from them, because yeah, I think they can do it when they put their mind to it. And it's just a matter of talking to the right person. I seem to be dealing almost exclusively with one person, and I don't really out, um, the customer service representatives from the various companies, because I don't really want to have them overwhelmed more than they already are, and I don't feel like it's my place to do it. So I do apologize, but I'm not going to share this particular person's name. But if anybody else has a representative that they've dealt with at Ultra Sabers that's provided, some decent customer service, by all means, you can share it in my comments and whatnot. I don't mind that. But as far as Saberforge goes, their customer service is through and through been phenomenal, and they've been doing really well by me, because I'm loving having my Redeemer back, and my Nova, which came with my Redeemer, has turned out to be just absolutely a delight of a saber. And yeah, that pretty much wraps this up. So please subscribe, comment, like, or dislike, whatever is required given the circumstances. And hope everyone's happy, healthy, safe, and having a good afternoon. My love to you all, and I'll see you guys again real soon. You take care now. Bye bye.